In today's video, we're talking about This Is Why, the sixth studio album by Paramore, released on February 10th, 2023 through Atlantic Records. So if you don't know, they're a rock band from Franklin, Tennessee, formed in 2004. And they have three members. So we have the vocalist Haley Williams, guitarist Taylor York, and drummer Zach Farrow. So Haley Williams and Zach Farrow were the founding members of this group. They're a band that has, they started out as like pop punk or emo, that kind of band. And then they kind of like more like developed their sound over the years. They're moving more towards electro pop, synth pop. And on this album, it's more like post punk, 80s, new wave. You hear that influence, but you still get Paramore. It's still the same kind of band. So let's talk about just a quick history of their album.
Someone, don't hesitate. Thanks for the advice.
First album and second album, All We Know Is Falling and Riot. Those were like those pop punk albums, those like 2000 scene, those types of albums. I know the album Riot was like their breakthrough. They had the single Misery Business and a couple other singles. And they released Brand New Eyes in 2009. And this one had lots of hit singles like The Only Exception. That was a good song. That one I actually like a lot. Then self-titled Paramore. That was like a long album. It's like, I think it's like over an hour long, but I think on that one they started to incorporate more of that like new wave and synth pop sound. And then in 2017 they released After Laughter, which is more moving towards that new wave and synth pop and power. So that's why, and it's been about like 6 years where we get This Is Why from 2023. And on this one, I think they're still Paramore, but they're introducing some more influences. I think it's heavily influenced of like 80s new wave and post-punk. Bands like The Cure, the B-52s, Susie and the Banshees. I'm hearing like a lot of that in the sound. These albums were produced by Carlos de la Garza, and he has produced the album since the self-titled, so that has another thing with their new sound change, because since it's self-titled, they have been evolving their sound. This album was preceded by 3 singles, This Is Why, The News, and that French one, which I'm probably not going to be able to say, but C'est Comme Ça, or something.
Your luggage.
The album is okay. It's short, 36 minutes. So let's talk about it. So first single, title track, This Is Why. It's like 80s post-punk. It got a jazzy bass line. Haley Williams sings in like a softer tone, but it's still kind of angry. It's kind of danceable. You know, it's more like indie rock, something you would hear like a coffee shop. I think that was my first impression of it. And then they have The News, which is a song that's more like their older sound. This is more of a return to those like first 2 albums, but to incorporate some of the 80s post-punk. This one I liked a lot. It has a guitar tone. I think I liked it because it was more of that like classic style, a little more energetic. But they also included some like dream pop into it, so pretty good. I thought that was maybe like the best song in the album. Then Running Out of Time. That one was okay. That one where they kind of started to lose me a little bit. I did like the 80s feel a bit, but it's a lot of like new wave and indie rock, so that one's okay. And then that French song, I think, C'est Comme Ça, I think I translated it, it means that's the way it is. I think this was the song that in the reviews I've seen, a lot of people like didn't like the song, and in like different like reaction videos when the single came out. It's okay. They do some different stuff like spoken vocals and do some of that scream, but this is more like 80s. I think this is like a change of style. So I think when this single came out, a lot of people were kind of like thrown off course, like they wasn't really sure what they liked, if they liked it or not, or something like that. Track number 5, Big Man, Little Dignity. I don't like that song just because of the song title. Big Man, Little Dignity. I mean, just think about what they're trying to say with the song title, but
Let off some steam, Bennett.
the song it's okay, but it's more like modern pop. You hear like little elements of that like danceable beat, disco. The guitar sound is pretty good on this one, but that song I didn't like. And then the next couple songs I did like, You First, which one has a pretty cool guitar sound. Another one is more of like a throwback to that 2000s pop punk sound. This one's more energy, more upbeat, and I like the bass guitar on this one. And then Figure Eight, this one is where the album starts to take a turn and go into more of like a modern pop direction. So Figure Eight is like electro pop or dream pop. You hear more electronic sounds. Still got the guitar, you got the bass. The song picks up, it has some energy, but it's just okay. But it's not too bad. I don't know what else to say about it. The next couple of songs were where the album started to lose me. The song Liar, it's just very soft, laid back, more like dream pop ballad, more like modern pop. Like their ballads I like. I like The Only Exception, but this one, it didn't really do much for me, kind of boring. Then the song Crave, another one which I thought was kind of boring as well. More dream pop, more modern pop, a little different than the other songs. But it did have some elements of new wave and post-punk. And then the last song was pretty good. It's still kind of soft, still kind of like a modern pop sound. But I think they had a little more like energy in it, a little more there. And had some pretty cool guitar parts in this one. So this one, Thick Skull, was pretty good. So
What'd you do with Sully?
I let him go.
that's all. This is an album where I thought it was okay. And it's not like the kind of style of music that I always listen to. But it's mostly like that 80s post-punk. I was saying B-52s, The Cure, New Order, The Smiths, like that type of sound, but mixed with that classic Paramore sound. So they have a big influence. Like that type of post-punk is something I grew up with when I was a teenager in the 80s. So it's something that I go back to sometimes. I'm mostly a metal guy. I listen to mostly classic rock and heavy music, but every now and then, if I want something different, I'll listen to The Cure or something like that. But it's not my go-to genre. But I thought the first half of the album was better than the last half, and that the last three songs were kind of the weaker ones. But all in all, I think I'll try to give this, a fair review. I think it's okay. It's a 7 out of 10. Probably their other albums are better if I did a ranking. Like this one would probably come like towards the bottom, even though they only have like 6 albums. So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and that's all. And I'll see you in the next one.
It's just been revoked.